All right, everybody, welcome to tonight's charting session. Tonight, I'm going to be going over how to identify your major key levels like the support and resistance using the volume profile indicator. I know a lot of you new traders coming in, sometimes it's confusing how to identify the right support and resistance. So hopefully this videos can help you guys out and clarify some things. So let's go over this right now. So the purpose of this, obviously, before we used to go over volume profile using or support and resistance using just a chart, right? So let's zoom out. So in the past, we would identify these levels right here, right? The highs, the lows like this, right? The more touches it provides, the stronger it is, something like that. Now with the volume profile, it's going to make it a little bit easier because what it does is it actually identifies it for you. I'm going to show you guys the settings here. To add this volume profile, which is what you see right here. Oh gosh, dang, if it's going to show it better. Okay, so you can see there's lines. Each one of these blocks, these black lines in the middle, are your day, right? And the time frame I have is 1 hour. Of course, you can adjust it. And this was recommended to use it in the 30-minute time frame, like this. So you see my top line right here is red, my middle line is green, and then the bottom is orange. So this is the high value area. The green line is called the point of control, which is where the most uh, time it traded in this particular day. So the highest concentration of action or price action, I would call it, and then the low side. Let me show you the settings on this. Also, you can just right click. Actually, let's go on to your edit studies, and all you have to do is just type in uh, volume profile. There you go.
I don't see that screen right now.
Okay. Let me change my screen. Appreciate that. Okay. All right, cancel that. So let me show you. So click on your edit study, which is right next to the gear icon on your chart. Click edit studies, and this box will pop out. And then all you have to do is search volume profile. Okay, right here. What you
What
want to
time?
do
What
is,
time frame?
yeah,
What
30
time frame
minutes.
should it? Minutes.
Yeah, so double click that, or you can drag it. So I would just double click it right here, right? Since I already have it, I'm just gonna get rid of this one, and I'm gonna show you the settings itself. So here's the settings. So price per row height mode is tick size, and then all the rest of the numbers would just leave, but go under time per profile, replace that under day, okay? And then extension, everything else remains the same. Your value area percent should be 70%. Some people have it as 68%, but this is the default settings at 70%, and everything else remain. Down below here, you have your POC, which is point of control. Um, I leave everything else the same. I like to adjust the point of control, which is that green line, right? I like to make that number 2, so a little bit thicker. It'll show better. And then profile high and profile low should show not check show plot. And then the value area VA high and VA low should show plot. And then of course you can change the colors, right? You can adjust the colors yourself. All right. Down below here it says globals. This is where you basically you can adjust. Um, Let me see here. Um, so this area right here, which I'll box it out, it will typically box it out on the overall graph. It'll show you the days range, right? This is what the stock did for between highs and low. So that's its range all day. But these point of control Again, the highest concentration traded for that day. Okay, and then you have your value area low, which is the second concentration. Actually, I'll use a different tool to explain this. There you go. So you have your main value area that concentrated all day, or most of the days right here, and then your second concentration is the low side, and then the high side will be right about here. Okay. The green one is the most important because that tells you that's where the most supply and demand had happened. Okay, has happened at that section. So then this is important because a lot of the institutional traders, like your hedge funds and banks, right? They move like large positions at a time. And the best way to move large positions is to get in and out on these high concentrated price action levels, right? Because again, they don't want to get in or get out with like a low concentration because they can manipulate the stock easily, which we know that is, happening. But if they're getting into a position, it makes sense to go where the liquidities are. Okay? Is that making some sense so far? Now, to set that settings, again, um, this is the value. Hopefully, you guys can take notes of this. Okay, you can change the colors and whatnot. So let's go over how do we identify or how do we really use this. I'm just gonna leave that box there. I'm gonna pick a different stock that has no settings yet. So let's go with like AMD. Okay, so AMD here. And just a quick note as well, I'm pairing this up with the stochastic slow because this also tells us if the stock is oversold or overbought, like what we're seeing here. This is overbought and this is oversold. And the way I look at them is if they are correlating with support and resistance. So something like this. Actually, I don't have my settings right. Okay. So I'm looking left and I can see a concentration over here. But again, this is just in addition to how we're using the volume profile. So let me remove that again. Okay, now let's go over how do you really use the volume profile. So the way it was explained is so each block is 1 day, right? So this level right here is considered a um, high liquidity area, and it's called the virgin point of control. So that means the stock has trended and it has not touched it. So the next time this stock comes back up, right? Let's say it makes this move like this. The next time it hits that area, that is going to be a high concentration to likely be a supply. Supply means there's a lot of sellers. Demand means there's a lot of buyers. Okay? High concentration. So the next time the stock comes up there for the very first time, right? They call it virgin point of control because this is the first time it's being touched. Okay. Now the next time that touch it right there, the probability of it coming back down into another zone of a high concentrated area like this guy or this guy is gonna be pretty high. So it's very important to use this level as your um, reliable resistance area. And especially if you have like you can see it right here to your left, it kind of you have like a 2 day situation that there was a high concentration right here and then it trended down. So this zone right here was a clean confirmation. There's no doubt that there was a lot of selling going on here. There's a lot of supply came in. So the supply came in right here and we don't know if there's more of them, like there's more pending orders that are waiting here. And this is why it's important when this stock comes back up and hits that zone again, that's why it's a high probability that this stock can get pushed back down. Another reason why it could come down is all these people that had shorted at this level, right? At this level right here, they're gonna defend this zone, right? So if you taking a trade here and now it's came down and you didn't take profit, you're gonna defend this zone by loading up more position right here because it was a confirmation that everybody did the same thing here, okay? And that's another reason it's gonna come back down. And we're gonna use some examples by looking at some key levels here in a minute. Is that making sense so far? And let's see. Make sense so far, Alex?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
Now,
when it reaches that level, like you said, there's still going to be pending orders and people doubling down on shorts. So as soon as it touches it, it'll trigger all those that didn't get executed,
mhm,
and it'll drive the price down.
yep. Okay, so here's another good example on what we just went over. You see this zone right here, right? It drove the price down. Now it's reaching a level. If you look left right here, this is another level of version point of control, this green line right here, and then you also have one right here. How do we know that it's a version point of control? Prior to this day right here.
High volume traded.
High volume
It's
traded, and this is the first time it's testing it,
yeah, the
right?
first time.
So the people that went long here in this level are gonna defend this zone. So it's AMD tomorrow, I promise you, this is the high probability of it first thing in the morning is gonna pump up, and its potential zone is up here. That is the potential. But you have to consider there's also volume consolidation right here. This is a high demand, right? So if the especially with what's happening, right? Shortage on chips and war and all that crazy things is happening right now in the world. This is probably a high concentration of short sellers right around here. Now, if you drag that across something like this, right? Because we're focusing on the green point of control. That is where the most important zone to pay attention to. So right there in this range, likely you're gonna have a lot of sellers jumping back in to short this if this does pump a little too high. But I don't think it's gonna go that high. I think it might have a chance to here, to that area or this area right here. Okay, just based on what's happening. But tomorrow, this is going to be a key zone to pay attention to. This box right here is something to pay attention to. So this price of 112, you really got to pay attention to see if there's a trend on the upside. And we know how to do that, right? We look at the 1 minute and we want to see our basket happening, right? We want to see our basket happening on a 1 minute in this 112 price area. As you can see, it's starting to form right here already, starting to form up. But we want to see this again on the bottom, right? We want to see this thing to come like this tomorrow. The 10 and 20, we want it clean. All right. Now let's zoom out again to the 30. That we know that this is a version point of control. It was, but now it's touching it, and the probability of it bouncing tomorrow is pretty high. Now, let's say if that zone breaks, what do you think the next zone to pay attention to? It will be this guy's right here, right? It'll be right here. You have that green, nice consolidation area. We know that everybody, there was no doubt, that this zone right here, they loaded up right here, and then they drove the price up. There was no doubt because that's what the price action happened. So we know that next time the price get down in this level, again, the probability of them defending that area is gonna be pretty high for a potential bounce. Now, as a scalper like myself, like this is the hot zone for me to just get in. So if I draw a line here, this line right here, that 103 level, that's going to be like my ultimate buy zone. And then we're looking for the 1 minute basket to form. The way I use the 10 and 20 SMA, the 1 minute, like I've mentioned, is the trend starter. The 5 minute is a confirmation. So once you see it on the 1 minute, that should give you a confirmation, the trend. Once it presents it in a 5 minute, that's when I'm even more confident to really take that trade in that direction. Okay. So let me clean this up and then actually show you my process of um, drawing my support and resistance. All right. So I know that this is the high side probability bounds. Okay. And then this level right here, which is this guy, because this guy has already been touched, right? As you can see, the price has already passed through it. And this guy right here is the next line of defense. Okay. So I know this level right here, 112, needs to hold tomorrow. And one of the things that's also giving me confirmation, you see this wicks on the bottom, right? So those are confirmation that there is buyers right here. Okay. So that's,
Hammer.
yep, another hammer. If this hammer was a green, that's even better. So tomorrow I want to see another hammer and I want to see it green. Okay. So that's another line. And then this guy right here is my next level. Let me turn this to adjust that to 2. Okay. So that green line is a little bit thicker. I can see it better. All right. Okay. So I know these are my zone, and then we know that somewhere halfway point here is a probability as well to have a rejection, which is a resistance. So what I would do is I'm gonna keep this up here as red, because red is I see as resistance. And so this is my process. I will call this VPOC, so virgin point of control. That tells me that that zone has not been touched before, and the next time this price gets up to that level, it's got high probability that it's going to have some sort of a pullback at that level. Okay, so I call that the VPOC. And then this level right here, the 121.65 zone, I'm gonna call this just a regular point of control, which is POC, POC, just a regular, and I'm gonna color it yellow. Why yellow for me? Because I can't trust this level too much that it will resist, it will turn here, but I just know that there was a high concentration right here, but it's already been tested, right? It's already been tested, it broke. Once it comes back up again, um, the next line is this, because you always looking for the next point of control, which is the green line from the previous day, right? From the previous day. So if the previous day is way up here, we know that that is the range of its capability. But we're also considering this area as the point of control consolidation, high demand, high supply. And then so I'm coloring it yellow to consider, right? We want to see some behavior right around here. And this guy has already been touched. And we're just going to call this POC. And then we're also going to call it that yellow, because yellow is just cautious, cautious that it may not bounce from there. But we know we're seeing our identification of candles. And this guy is going to be color green, and the same thing. It's going to be called virgin point of control because it has not been touched. The price action came up, right? Came up, came up, and now it's heading back down. Now we're gonna see if it tests this zone and a potential bounce to this next level. So with this way of identifying support and resistance, it becomes more clear and it becomes more less emotional because now we have a range. So if we're taking a directional trade, let's say tomorrow, we start seeing another red candle that's starting to break this zone right here, this 112 area, starts doing this. Okay, let's say if it tries to push up like this, we have a candle like this, but we have a long wick at the top, right? A long wick at the top like this. Then we know there's sellers are still pushing this thing down. The best thing to do at this point, this zone becomes a 50-50 trade, right? Because it's not bouncing fast enough. Okay. The best thing to do in this situation is just to wait for this zone right here, the green line, to really enter your position to go long. Okay. From risk to reward perspective, we know that this zone right here is a it's a potential demand zone because that's what happened back here, and we know this zone up here is a supply zone. So right now we have a pretty big range on our trade. Okay. Now, if I was to find more levels, so I'll go left further to look at where is the next um, resistance zone. So this guy barely got touched, but this guy right here, this guy, this level right here, was never touched. You can see that this was the supply zone. Okay, they loaded up short right here, and sellers started coming in and drove it down. And this is not even a guess because we know that the price started coming down. They started loading it up here, and everybody else piled on. Now we know this zone right here. That's when everybody also started piling on. And look at exactly what happened when it got to that zone, right? So at this before this event happened, this zone right here was the virgin point of control, right? This was virgin point of control. But when the price got back up there, and look at what happened exactly, okay? It shot it straight back down. So that's how we're identifying, and that's how we're using this volume profile as a much cleaner identification for support and resistance. All right. Any questions so far?
So green light, load the fuck up on calls.
That's that's kind of what I'm seeing, but I would test it with a smaller capital.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Get a
would,
confirmation that it's forming the basket.
yeah,
1 minute, a minute, and then yeah.
yeah, because we can see exactly what happened up here. This is a similar scenario, so we know exactly what happened right here, right? When that price level returned. And now this same scenario, except the opposite, is presenting here. So when the price returns here, this is a confident level that at least it's going to test one and then test two. So this range right here is actually much better. Like I wouldn't try to worry about this zone if you're gonna do like a longer contract hold because the probability of it coming here is pretty high. Okay. Let's see.
And usually, yeah, see everywhere it chops around. Usually, builds up the momentum, builds up all the buyers, and then it spikes up. So it's not gonna happen immediately. It'll give you a confirmation too.
Yeah, it's gonna give you a confirmation. So if this area right here, let's say like tomorrow, like it majorly sold off. Like if this thing tomorrow we open and we gap down to like 103, that my friend, I would load the boat, to my opinion, and because we know that that's what happened here, right? We know the psychology behind it is all these people that went long, right? Maybe hoping for a bigger bounce. They're gonna defend this zone right here. This is a defend zone one, defend zone number two, and guess what? Now we know now we know what causes an acceleration move to the further to the downside. Because if this zone right here, let's just say this zone breaks tomorrow, right? We know that all these people that went long and then loaded up the boat again here and fails, all these people that loaded the boat is going to exit as well, right? If they're going long here and the sellers are winning, they're going to exit their position just below this area right here. Just below this area, you're going to have an acceleration. And that's why you've heard me say it before. Hey guys, if this level breaks, we should see like a rug pull, right? You even from like a scalp perspective, I've mentioned that several times. Hey, if this level breaks, we should have acceleration to the downside or the upside. And that's why I emphasize on we want to see a big candle break a major support or resistance. We don't want a little teeny candle like this, right? We don't want a little teeny candle like that. Or to the upside, we don't want a little teeny candle like that. We want to see a huge candle like this guy right here because that's a confirmation that all the opposite traders are getting the F out, right? They're getting out, and so it's causing an acceleration, okay? It's causing an acceleration, and then the pattern is we want to see it, let's say the downside, right? The downside. What we want to see is we want to see either the second candle and then the third candle starts to do this, starts to do this, and then right here is when where you want to see right here, you want to see a long wicks at the top. You can start seeing a long wicks like this. So this candle has a long wicks at the top. That's when you know that this area on the downside is going to accelerate. This is the downside pattern, right? There you go. And then on the upside, we're looking for doing this, like this, hold, and then accelerate. Okay? Is that making sense?
Yeah, so that's when their stop loss is triggered, and that's what causes everything to go down.
Yep. So tomorrow, if we see if we see a candle break like this, like a big flush, and then the wicks is not really forming fast enough, then the next the next target on this, you go on a 1 hour. Let's look further. Is let's see this zone. Let's see current price here. What was that price? Let me draw a line real quick. So right here. Okay. So the next concentration area would be right here. So I would trust this green line right here is the next level because this guy already this guy already broke, right? Let me see. Did that already break? 94.58. 94.58. Okay, so it's further. So this is actually reliable as well. So this guy is also reliable. So we know right here there was a lot of buyers that caused this thing to push up, and we can see that based on the volume. Like look at this. So we know right here this little zone caused all these big move, caused that big move, and you can see it from the volume itself. You see how much bigger this volume is compared to this last area right here? Like look at that. That's like 3 times the size. Okay? So we know this zone right here was the high demand zone. The next time it touches right here on AMD, edit this, make it green, and then this is gonna be a VPOC. There you go. And then this is the next zone right here. And this is all you gotta do. And what I've done with um, let's see, Tesla. So here's my Tesla. So I didn't want to mess with it because I already spent some time last night really cleaning it up. And here's my zone. So now what you can do whether the night before or however long it takes you to start drawing this in all your charts. And the cool thing about this is once you draw these levels, you don't have to mess with it anymore. Now you have price level targets that, hey, Tesla gets down here, I'm likely to take the trade for a potential upside. If Tesla breaks this yellow line, the next line is this guy right here, which is very small, which also confirms that it's got selling pressure, right? You can see the 10 and the 20 SMA are both pointing down. This will take some consolidation time down here before it starts to curl up again and go back up, right? We know that from the past. So with Tesla, now I can just leave all these lines, and as it breaks it, it gives me the next line of confirmation. Okay? Now I don't have to guess. Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna link up a video, which is no, I actually posted it. So go under our educational resources, and I think I posted it under support and resistance. Yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
So under support and resistance, that video right there, watch that. That's actually the part two. So watch part one and part two. It's gonna go over exactly what I just explained to you guys. He explains it a little bit better, and so I mean I've watched it like 3 times already. It makes a lot of sense from the way he explains it because this is how the big institutions trades, not the retail traders, but the big money players. That's how they move their money in and out of the market. They have to move in when there's a lot of supply or demand, right? And this level right here, the volume profile, shows us clearly where the demands are, where the supplies are. That's real data. You don't have to second guess. Was there sellers here? No, there was sellers here, and that's the reason it caused it to go back down. And you can see it on the volume, right? You can see it. More people loaded up right here. More people loaded short here. Okay. So now start applying this strategy, and you can even use the on demand as well. So with Tesla, again, going back to the support zones, it's already broken this. That's why it's yellow. My next zone is this guy right here. This area is going to be my supply, my next buy zone. And then you can confirm it right down here on your stochastic slow that we are way oversold. Like right now, we are at 6.6, like low, right? 50% is like equal balance. So 50. So right here is considered a fair price on Tesla, right? This zone right here is considered a fair price. Right now, it's super cheap based on the stochastic, okay? And that's how you have to put this data together. All right, so that's what I got for Tesla. And now you just rinse and repeat that process on all your stocks, and then you can just chill and wait for your patterns to present, which is the basket. Is that making sense for everybody?
That makes a lot of sense for sure.
Okay. Any questions?
Um, my only question, and not so much in regards to like support and resistance, but on my chart, I try to add it on there, but it does not look anything like yours. It's actually going across the whole screen like multiple days. How do you get it like on the daily, like
Oh, okay.
happening every day?
Yep. So click on your studies, edit studies in the upper on the top here. Click that. Can you see this
Yeah.
screen?
Yes.
So as long you have that volume profile, click on that gear icon
Okay.
and then follow these settings right here. Tick size, and then you should have it on time per profile. You have it on day,
Okay.
okay? And then it says expansion. On expansion, it should be no.
Okay.
All right. Um, as far as the profile high right here, profile high and profile low,
Uh-huh.
show plot should be unchecked,
Okay.
and everything else is checked. And then VA, which is value area high, show plot, all the boxes should be checked. Same thing with VA low, all the boxes should be checked. And then of course you can customize the color yourself.
Okay.
Um, the way I have my the rest of my colors, like the body of what you see here, right? Those like the gray,
Right.
um, is the profile itself. So if I change that to green, you'll see it turn to green. You see that? So all you have to do is
Oh,
go
okay.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all you have to do is go back to your volume profile, right click it, edit studies, and then go back to the global, and then I'm gonna switch this back to gray. So that way it's easier on the eyes. It doesn't interfere with my price candle. And then I hit OK.
Gotcha.
That's it. Try that out if it works.
Awesome. Yeah. Yep. I followed along, and it looks exactly like yours now.
Okay. And then as far as background, oh, another thing too, I forgot to mention. Click on this gear icon. Since we're trading options, the pre-market and after hour to me is irrelevant now. Since I'm not trading stocks, the pre-market is irrelevant because you really can't trade anyway on options. So go under appearance, or not appearance, but actually general. Was it general? No. Um, equities or options tab right here on both, and then uncheck show extended hours trading session. Uncheck that, and that'll get rid of the gray. Let's see, I'll just check it so you can see it, right? You see that? So you see this gray middle. These are the after hours and pre-market sessions, and the uh, the option traders really don't. You can't trade pre-market or after hours with options. So I just turn that off. Okay, turn that off. Apply, and your charts is so much cleaner. Okay, because the reason being too is the your point of control is already factored in on where the most traded zones are, right?
Is that your only profile volume profile settings you're using, or didn't you have a month one up there as
I
well?
did.
And
I turned
nine
off
and
the
it's good.
Yeah, I turned all that off. I turned
You
all that
turn
off.
the extended off as well.
Yep, I turned all that off. This is the only volume profile that I have. Just
Okay,
just
cool.
that one. So I still have my 10 and 20 SMA. I have my volume profile, which is that's the setting that I have. And then the stochastic slow down at the bottom here. Those are my only reliable ones. That's it. I'm trying to like I know I'm testing different um indicators, settings and whatnot, and I'm just trying to make it stronger to where as easy as possible to read, but as also as you know as little indicators in my screen.
Yeah, I like how it draws itself versus the Fibonacci, even though I still like the Fibonacci. But
Yeah,
do you use the high and low as well for the just the
it's an
green?
area to consider.
Okay,
It's an area to consider, but the point of control is really
most valuable.
reliable. Yep.
Okay,
It's a
gotcha.
higher percentage, and that's how I use it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so tomorrow and this week, that's what I'll be testing live. Like I want to see it how it behaves live on the market because we like it based on, the history, based on the previous patterns. We know how it behaves, but you really get a grasp understanding when you see it live. So tomorrow I dip down to the zone on Tesla. We want to see it start to really push up. We want to see our 1 minute time frame candle and the SMA starts to curl up in that zone. Okay.
And do you have this set up on your 1 hour, 30 minutes when you have your charts all set up? The 1 minute, 5 minute, 1 hour, everything is the same setup?
Yeah, so right now I'm in a 1 hour, right? So if I go into 30, like all these charts
Yeah,
doesn't change. So I plot it, I plot it in a half hour because that's what he recommended.
yeah.
Okay. So it's plotted on the half hour. And once I have that all identified, it fluctuates a little bit on a 1 hour time frame. Like it won't be like directly on the green sometimes. Not all the time, but you can see this line right here. It's a little bit off. Um, you can see this guy right here. Uh, right here. You see, it's a little bit off, right? But it's tiny because I switched from half an hour to 1 hour. But now let's go to the 5 minute and you can see that it might be skewed a little bit. So you see my lines right here and
Yep.
you see where the green is? It's a little bit off, but that's close enough. Let me see, 4 points on Tesla. That's very small on Tesla for 4 points. Right here it lines up. This one, let's zoom out just to give you a perspective. Right here on the left again, it's a little bit off right here. Same thing with these guys. So it's not significantly off, but as you can see, it fluctuates a little bit. But on the 30 minute, we know that that is on point, and that's the time frame that really matters to pay attention to. It's 30 minute.
How do you get the volume profile to automatically add? So when you add it on that ticker symbol,
Hmm.
so that way it shows on your 1 minute, 5 minute, 1 hour, 30 minute, whatever you have set up. So like when I'm trading, I have those time schedules. I don't. I when I set up the volume profile, it's only on that box graph that I. So how do I sync it so that way it automatically adds?
To all your other charts.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have like, let's say like this, right? So,
Yep.
so you can see it's not synced to the other ones. So I'll do 30 minute here. Um, so the way I do it is now I have this guy set up, and let's switch this back to SPY because that's my SPY box. Um, so what I do is right click on your mouse, right after you have all the settings. So first of all, after you have all your settings set up, let me just maximize again. Let me right click the volume profile, make sure it's the settings that I want, and then okay. And then what I'll do, actually I'll do this as well just to make sure, save default up here and hit OK. So I know that's the default settings. And then right click again and go down to style and go to save style and then call it VPOC. What is this? Just call it VPOC 1. Yeah, VPOC 1. Because I have VPOC 2, which I'll show you as well. So I have it saved. Okay. So what that does, it'll save everything that all the settings that you already put in here, including the turning off the pre-market, the all the volume profile settings, your 10 and 20 SMA, along with your stochastic slow. The only difference is these lines, the profile lines, the yellow, red, and green, those are manually charted and that don't transfer over because each chart is different, right? So now I have that saved. I'm gonna load up. I'm gonna show you guys the other settings where I turned off the candle. So you turn off the candle, and then also uh my simple moving average is off. I'm gonna show you that right now. Load. I call it VPOC 2. Look at this. You see how much cleaner that is? Like you no longer like I know the price candle can trigger my emotions, and I'm trying to really practice my trading with no emotion. And I'm doing it by turning the candles off. I'm just going off of levels. And to be honest with you guys, I follow two other traders that are, you know, have 30 years plus experience on the market, and they don't even trade price candles. They trade volume profile. They trade literally just like this. They don't see the candles anymore. They just know that, oh, if this level holds, this target is up here is next.
That's freaking insane, dude.
It's insane. Like it's
What the hell?
mind-boggling. But these guys are big traders, right?
Right. That's
They're
insane.
like the one guy that I reference to, JJ. He used to be the market maker. He used to manipulate the market, and so he knows how when to get in and when to get out and how to move the market. And this is what he used. Like if you ever follow him on Twitter, he'll post his levels. He'll be like, oh, Tesla, if this holds here, the next target here is on the upside. And then you don't see the price candle, you only see volume profile. You're like, what the heck? And then he can tell you, oh, this zone right here, this zone is like heavy, heavy supply zone. Okay? Supply zone, and if you drag that across, supply zone accumulated right here too. So it's mind-boggling to like think so differently, but it makes sense how the market is moved based on the market makers, the hedge funds and the banks. They're the market, right? So anyway,
Hey,
settings,
TJ,
load up, and then
question. When you did the save style, what exactly is that saving? Because I know we have like the drawing sets, which saves a certain thing, and then we have other stuff. What is that saving the style? Like,
so saving the style is the style the way you have it now, right? So if you're going to save um not style, but go back to drawings. So there's save style, save you can save the drawings or the studies itself. The studies is just your studies, like your 10 and 20 SMAs, your stochastic slow. You're not
right.
saving, oh, you turned off the pre-market hours. Um, you have your, let's say I have gaps here on the right, like this is the price access on the settings. So in general, I have time access plus 100. So I'm telling it to, hey, I want 100 candles empty on the right, like available. That's why you have that instead of, all the way flush to the right. So I just go with saving the style because it saves everything that you have on the screen. And now to answer Alex's question, now that you have that save, you just go down to your next chart box and go style, load, VPOC1, whatever you name it. And now this guy is exact settings. I have the other box. Now all I have to do is start drawing my support and resistance level like this,
Nice. Okay.
right? Go here. This is my level right here. Next level, untouched level is here. Like this guy's untouched level. Next time it gets back up there, I'm going to short the heck out of it. If that doesn't hold, I'm going to short right up here. You see what I'm saying? Like in between becomes irrelevant, becomes emotionless. We know to make a decision over here, over here, over here.
Are you
Word.
picking the
Word. You
POCs
never got
from
touched.
the highs and lows?
Say that again.
Sorry, are you picking the POCs from the highs and lows only?
Are we picking the highs and lows of the
For the
POC?
P, yeah, where you drew those, they were just at the highs and lows. But what about in between?
Hang on, you're breaking up.
Skip me.
No, no, no. I'm trying. I want to make sure that you get that. So where I'm drawing this
Sorry,
POC,
not work. Yeah.
So
from
the
where you just
POC is it's automatically drawn out based
right,
on the
right.
settings on your profile. The actual settings of the volume profile. This is the volume profile settings. So you have the
Yes.
day, and then everything else is how you see it. And then these lines, the high, the point of control, and the low, is automatically drawn out.
I guess I'm asking where are you aiming for your next targets from today's POC, I guess, or today's
Okay,
price.
today's price action. So for
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
the way I'm reading this is this is the next target because you have a downtrend,
Yeah.
right? You have a downtrend, and the last version point of control was this guy right here. This guy. Well, actually, that got broken right here. So this is why this was the version point of control prior to this guy coming here. But you see what happened, right? This if this was the version point of control prior to this move, look at what it did. It came up,
Just
it
bounced
came
off
down,
of it.
it bounced off of that area. Now that this has been used, right? This basically it's been touched, and that's why it's no longer a version. Um, this this broke through. So this means this line right here is unreliable and is unreliable. Okay. So now the next time it comes back up there, that's going to be the next resistance zone for a further down push to this level right here, because we know that this guy right here is fresh. This guy, this green line, let's
So
zoom in,
that's the most recent POC
that has
to
not
the
been
left,
to the left, that
to
has
the
not been
left, to
touched.
the left.
Yeah,
Uh,
everything else that has been touched is like you touched it once, it's unreliable. It's still there to consider, but it's unreliable for a bounce or
get it.
a deflection or
So
what
it's
is
a most
diversion.
recent POC to the left.
Correct.
Gotcha.
The
Okay,
most recent
cool.
POC to the left that has not been touched is your most
Gotcha.
reliable um, zone to take your trade. So, for example, if this, let's see, let's clean this up. So, okay, so if I'm gonna ask you if DIA, Dow Jones Industrial, reverses tomorrow, where is the next target that it can go to the upside?
Looks like it's at the 357
350 something right here.
area, something like that.
This
Yeah,
guy right
right
here.
there. Yep.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's your next zone. But we know to consider, this is just to consider, that we have some weak zones right here that also
Right.
had some attention. We know that there was a lot of short sellers here too that piled on, right? So we know if DIA bounces from here to this zone, you're gonna have some chops. But based on data, this is not as reliable to really hammer down on your positions to go short. Right here is a much better risk to reward ratio because
Sure.
this is where everybody's gonna defend that position on the downside. And so is the new short sellers that are piling on. They're gonna reshort that potential double top pattern, right? Double top pattern, and then boom. And so that's the thought process behind getting in and out of your trades.
Cool.
Cool. All right. Next question. We got a few minutes. So anybody? Everybody get it?
Yeah, and especially that other video. Once I watched it, everything makes sense now.
Yep. Go ahead and everybody that hasn't watched it yet, go under your educational resources under support and resistance, and then watch that video. And then go to his channel as well. He's got a ton of other videos on support and resistance, particularly using the volume profile. Okay. So once you start doing this, this is going to be a much easier, less emotional trading um, to do. So next one is right here. So look at this. Look at these zones. Like now it's so much easier to find his zones. And then this guy over here to the left. Oh, is the next zone that has not been touched. Everything else around here, this guy got touched already, and it's already been rejected. So the next time it comes up, this is the first line of defense, and then this is the next one. Again, I'm gonna
He
copy.
also he also drew boxes where the very high volume was traded to the right, so that way. I
Oh,
mean, whoever watches it really comes down to personal preference. But
yeah, he moves these boxes over. Like let's say
yep,
this is the zone right here. So he moves the box over like this. So that's your area of focus. Okay. Again, watch the video, guys. He explains it pretty well. And again, I watched it like 3 times already because it makes a lot of sense based on how to think like the hedge funds when they're taking their trades. So it'd be something like this. All right. That's it for now. You go
Wait,
ahead and practice your charts and get ready for tomorrow.
Hey, man. Thanks.
All right.
thanks, TJ.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks, TJ.
Have a good night.